Hi, I'm Manjeev. I pretty much just hang around some shows in London like a bad smell. I've helped put out a few records on a label called Bunkland, and I was lucky enough to grow up in Malaysia, and slightly more lucky enough to be made aware of like stuff that was happening musically in the early 90s. In 2010, I ended up in a sort of really massive wormhole in a sort of room in New Cross. Well, the wormhole was through YouTube. I was sat in a room in New Cross. and yeah, like sort of watched this video of a song called Play Fast or Die by a band called Sergeant Hassan. And that, I mean, it's a phenomenal song, right? So you should 100% totally check it out. But that kind of led me to get really curious again about what is happening in Malaysia. And I kind of quickly found out that, like every other country in Southeast Asia, it's got an absolutely raging punk and metal thing going on. And yeah, like I've got a load of records from Malaysia, and I'm gonna sort of try and talk about 5 of them and not waffle on too long about them. But we're going to start off with a reissue of The Infectious Maggots is Unknown. So these guys are really difficult to kind of pin down musically. Like they do a sort of mishmash of death grind and industrial. Like it's really sort of just really cleverly thought out and put together. And this record is a bit like more polished, and it kind of has like a slight a Skinny Puppy, dare I say, feel to it. But like, you know, Skinny Puppy doing like Carcass covers or something. But the record that came out before this, which was called Deep Within Our Grief Factory, Milk Runs Red, that was like super rough around the edges, man. Like just like no sandpaper involved at all. Whereas this one is like polished, but like no less good. Right? And it's just insane. Like it's really odd in the best way possible. Like part of the reason that I'm having so much trouble trying to describe it is because it is so odd. It definitely has like a sort of 90s odd feel to it in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways it sort of sounds like really timeless. And I think like they've nailed something with what they do. The imagination behind this record, in a way, and like the creativity is kind of rare, I think. Like I can't recommend this enough. Right, I can't recommend this band enough. They're just really important, really clever, without being like pretentious, and just like really, really great, really great. The second record is Ritmar by Periree. These guys have been around since about like 2015ish, and this is absolutely straight up sort of screamo violence, like utter chaos. in the best possible way. Like this came out last year. Like if you're a fan of Orchid and Satia, and you know, if you're going to that, if you've been to like Crimea River in Germany, then like this is the sort of thing that I'd well imagine would be on like a Crimea River bill. Yeah, this record in particular is like a really cool little like snapshot of sort of what's happening and how things are happening, you know, in the sense that like people aren't just doing like punk or metal in a sort of straightforward way. Like all the subgenres are being tackled. And on that note, Modern Hypocrisy by Whir. Yeah, this record This is so good, and I absolutely love this record. And I think, like, out of all the records that I'm bleating on about now, like, this one is definitely by far and away my favourite. And I guess, like, you know, if you're kind of hankering for a little bit of slap of ham and you know, like, sort of no comment, crossed out sort of power violence, then this is for you. Although, like, it kind of really sort of reminds me as well of a lot of Man is a Bastard. Like, there's kind of like a similar bass thing going on. Mun Brannock and Sun, who do bass and drums respectively on Where, are sort of the drummer and the singer. Like, Sun drums and Mun Brannock sings in Sergeant Hassan, that band that I mentioned earlier on, and in Where is fronted by a chap called Emmy, who sings in Tools of the Trade and a whole bunch of, like, other bands. And Mun Brannock runs a space called Rumah Api in Kuala Lumpur, which is like the sort of, not exactly like the main gigging, I mean, maybe it is like the main sort of space that gigs happen in Kuala Lumpur, but yeah, like, he helps kind of run it. And Emmy like, he helps put on loads of shows as well. Like, he helped put on Infest, for instance, like a couple of years ago, and I think, like, he was also involved in, like, a I Hate God tour. Sun now kind of also drums in the sort of most recent iteration of Carburetor Dung. So, like, you know, this band is, like, full of heads, right? But oh man, this record is so good. I mean, just so good. And you can, like, pick it up for, like, fucking pennies on Discogs, man. And their tape, Selfish Achiever, which came out, I think, like a year or so before this, and I can't remember when this came out, in 2014. So yeah, the Selfish Achiever tape, I think, came out like the year before this, and they're both, like, yeah, total hashtag Gila Barbie insanity, if I may borrow a little bit from what the kids might be saying in Malaysia. Next is Playburst with Positive Jams. I got this last year when I was in Malaysia. And it had not long kind of come out, so I think like 2022. But these guys are like they're all a bunch of lads that sort of played in, like, grind and fastcore bands, but this stuff is, like, completely different, right? So this essentially kind of sounds like Braid or Spy vs Spy and Crush of Rhinos, you know, like that kind of emo-y, indie rocky sort of stuff. As the label says, they are positive jams, and it's like, yeah, proper sort of Sunshine, weird time signatures, and, yeah, but it's great, man. It's properly great, because there's a chap called Tiong that drums on this record, and that dude is, like, just an absolute hero, right? Like, he's like total gold, that man. and his drumming on this is fire, man, like total fire. Finally, here is a band called Repute, and as I'm sure you can well imagine, this is just a load of old school death metal, man. One of the reasons why I kind of picked this tape out to sort of witter on about is because the band are from Kota Kinabalu, which is a city, like the capital city of a state called Sabah, which is one of two Malaysian states on the island of Borneo. So yeah, it was like a sort of really conscious effort to talk about this, because, like, I didn't kind of want to make it sound like everything and like everything happens in Kuala Lumpur. But this stuff is, like, fucking rad, man. You know, like it sort of, yeah, I don't really have to say much about it, because that's what the sleeve looks like. If you're into like the whole undergang Copenhagen thing. Like this will definitely be for you. But yeah, like I don't know. Like I think like it's just kind of interesting the way that like death metal's doing a bit of a thing at the moment. I mean, they could have easily slotted into the Necropolis bill that all day that happened in the New Cross Inn earlier this year. You know, like Crypt of the Wizard would shit themselves over this because, you know, look at it, man. They've got a whole bunch of stuff on their Bandcamp. So yeah, definitely like 100%, man. Check it out. Thanks. And especially like kind of thanks to Juan Husrell from the Tandang Record Shop, because he's helped me get score like a whole bunch of stuff, which has been really nice. And yeah, thanks to you if you got this far. See you later. Bye.